Lately, there's been a challenge kicking around YouTube to explain your YouTube name, and mine is Desdichaedo, and I'm going to go into the whole story that goes into that, but the short version is that it's from the Sir Walter Scott novel Ivanhoe, and it is the name which Ivanhoe uses to enter a tournament incognito, and it in that book means disinherited, and that's what my dad would call me if I was home late or hadn't called in a while or hadn't been to visit in a while, and it kind of became sort of a family nickname. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with two photos that are from the 1982 miniseries version of Ivanhoe, which is the version of it that I grew up watching. There's been a million. And I have since read the book, but this is kind of, when I think of Ivanhoe, this is what I think of. And one is 4.5 by 6 and one is 4 by 6. So I didn't want to stack them on top of each other because of the slight size difference. So that they were totally in line. So I'm just gonna, slightly offset them from each other. And I did my usual fake photo collage by using scrapbooking tape to tape the two photos together and then adhering them. And all of these papers are from the Fancy Pants Park Bench collection, which I chose because the main colors of these photos are blue and gold. And this collection heavily features blue and gold. So I'm using Color Box Fluid Chalk ink in charcoal to ink the edges of all of the papers I'm going to use on the layout, and they're all from the collection. So I'm going to use that Distressed Solid for the background, and I've printed my journaling onto one of the Distressed Solids from the collection, which I'm going to ink the edges of that as well. And then I'm going to ink all of my layering papers. And what's funny about this whole story is that this is a Spanish word. And in Spanish, it actually means like sorrowful or unhappy, unfortunate, miserable, wretched, really depressed, because Sir Walter Scott did not get the correct Spanish word for what he was trying to say. He was trying to say desheredado, which is their actual word for disinherited. So I know sometimes people who speak Spanish, when they see my channel name, do actually think like I'm some kind of like weird depressed scrapper, because they recognize the word. I'm just going to gently crumple these 3 strips that I have for the middle. I'm not really like wadding them up or anything. I'm just kind of gently rippling them with my hands just so they have a little dimension, but I'm not trying to give them a ton of dimension. I just want them to have a little dimension and texture just to kind of lift off the page a little bit. And so to keep them where they're going to lift off the page, I'm only putting adhesive down the very center so the edges don't get flattened out. And then the photo will go right on top. So I have some scraps of paper left over from, cutting these strips and things. And I'm just going to lay them out so that I have a horizontal piece. So I'm just kind of inking the edges of these scraps with the charcoal ink and layering them together so that I have vertical and horizontal elements. And then I'm going to use circles to soften some of these hard lines. And because I don't want my horizontal piece to go all the way across, I'm just cutting it in half so I can kind of overlap it on itself in the middle. And that's just going to happen under the other paper I have. So it's no big deal to, it's going to just hide that seam, that join. And I've got the ruler out because I am not very good when I am looking at something that's crumpled of putting it down straight. So that ruler is just there to make sure I get the paper relatively straight, because otherwise it'll bug me. So again, I'm just cutting the middle out of another one of these strips because it's going to be hidden, so it doesn't need to show. And again, I'm using the ruler to make sure I get it sort of straight because I have a tough time getting crumply things straight. And also I want them to be at the same height on the other side of the page, so that there's no odd depth perception issues or anything like that. So, now the photos that I have on here, which are again from the 1982 CBS miniseries version of Desdichaedo, as a fun fact, I guess I found out that that movie has been shown every New Year's Day in Sweden since it came out. And it's like sort of a tradition. They all get together, they watch it on New Year's Day, when they're relaxing at home, and they know all the lines and they know all the words, and it's just like something that they do. They get together and watch it. And I actually asked a Swedish scrapbooker I know if that was true, and she said yes. So I thought that was kind of cool because I've probably seen it close to as many times as the average Swedish person has, but I don't think it's that famous in the US. So anyways, now I'm getting ready to create a layered circle embellishment, and what I'm going to do, I was actually inspired by Christine Middlecamp to do this. She recently posted a layout on her blog, Retrospection, that was all stacks of layered circles, and I didn't really want to, make 30 of them like she did, but I liked the idea of layered circles, so I'm going to do that on this page. And I'm using a pinked circle, and what I do is I cut a piece of chipboard, cover it with adhesive, and then die cut it, and then I put glitter all over it. All right, so once I've got that one done, I want another glittered piece. So again, I took a piece of white cardstock, covered it with adhesive. This adhesive happens to be Miracle Tape, but any double-sided adhesive will work. The stronger the adhesive, though, the less likely your glitter is to shed. And you see me pushing the glitter down. I really push the glitter down into the adhesive to flatten the glitter pieces out. That makes them more sparkly. And then the last thing I did was I just took a bunch of my circle nestabilities and just cut a bunch of circles out of pattern paper from the collection so that I could layer them together. And I came up with this piece. But when I went to use this piece on the layout, it was too tall, too many layers, too bulky, just too much. So what I ended up doing is I separated it into two pieces. So you can see I used the top half on the right over there, and then I have the bottom half on the left over there. And then I cut one of the doilies from the collection and inked the edges so that I could put this sticker from Jelly Bean, not Jelly Bean Soup, My Mind's Eye collectible that is Tell Me a Story. And I love that because this all originates with a novel, and then there's this whole long convoluted story that goes behind the name. So that's kind of works perfectly there for me. And then I went to adhere this one with pop dots, and I didn't like where I put it, so I pulled it up and then I ripped the paper, so now I have to cover the rip. But that's okay because that's just an opportunity for embellishment, and I'm going to use a button to embellish. So I'm taking some turquoise twine from the Twinery, and I'm double threading this button with the twine. This button is from the Fancy Pants Park Bench collection. Pretty much most things are from the Park Bench collection unless I specifically say otherwise on this layout. And so once I've got the twine threaded through, I'm just going to adhere the button right to that stack. So I have a layered circle there. And then I'm going to continue the circle theme with these buttons because they're pretty much circular. And I'm going to thread them and adhere them to the layout. So we have circles going up the side of the layout, and that's going to soften these harsh lines from all of the angles of all of the layers, both horizontal and vertical. And so to continue with the circles and to continue softening the hard edges, I'm putting some enamel dots. These are from the Boy Crazy collection from My Mind's Eye to soften some more of the edges. And now the date that this miniseries broadcast in the United States was February of 1982, and my roller date stamp does not have 1982 on it. However, you can trick your roller date stamp into making you a 1982 by starting with the part where you would put the day and putting 19 just as if it was the 19th day of the month. And then you just need to ink up one at a time, an 8 and a 2, or any series of numbers that you want. And then you can add February 23rd in my case. And there I have February 23rd, 1982 with a roller date stamp. And it looks great. And of course this video is sped up, but if you're wondering how long it takes to adjust the date stamp like that, that whole sequence took me only 3 minutes. So it's really not that bad. So I just added a little sticker tab from the Park Bench collection. And it says something special because it is kind of a special story to me. And then I added some more enamel dots, and now I've put these DIY thickers on the edge of a ruler, which is what I do when I'm trying to figure out where I want my title to go. And once I've got my placement figured out, I'm going to peel the top off of them and sprinkle glitter onto them. And I'm going to use the same gold glitter that I used for the second pinked circle. And all the glitter that I used is from Martha Stewart. I have a little multi-pack of glitter of hers. So I'm just tapping off the glitter and then placing my letters down. And when you do this, you're going to want to go back and add some additional adhesive behind. Not so much because the letters are, I mean, these are the vinyl or the foam ones, so the adhesive's pretty good, but it got covered up with glitter, so it's not that great anymore. So I just needed to add more adhesive. And I did that off camera because you have seen me glue letters on things like a million times. So now I'm doing the rest of my title, which was What Does Desdichaedo Mean? And I'm doing that with mini market stickers. And again, I'm lining them up on the edge of a ruler. And so pretty much the only thing left to do is to make a pocket on the back of the page to hold my journaling, which I had planned to do from the beginning. So I taped my journaling to the back of the layout with washi tape. And since my journaling is, you know, roughly 6 by, I don't know, 6 by 11. So I cut a piece of paper to 7 1/8 by 11 1/2. And then I scored it a 1/2 inch in from each side. And I used that green thing, which is the perfect trim tool, to cut the corners at a 45-degree angle so that when I folded them back to make the pocket, they wouldn't overlap and form bulk in the corners. And now I'm just adding 3/8 inch miracle tape, which is awesome if you score at 1/2 inch, because if you put 1/2 inch tape on something you scored at 1/2 inch, there always is a little that hangs off the edge. You can see that there's a hole in the back of my layout. I actually cut a hole out from behind the main photo area to use to make one of the circles I used in my layered circles. And that's it. That's the whole layout. My journaling slides right into that pocket. And there you can see the date, the sticker. There's the circle embellishments, the layered circles, the title. There's the other layered circle. And that's the whole layout. Thanks so much for watching. And I hope you found this story interesting.